didn't mean to, please.
How could you let this happen? It's over. We're finished.
The Grand Marina Hotel was silent at 2 a.m. The marble floors gleamed under soft lighting, and the city skyline sparkled through floor-to-ceiling windows. Almost every guest slept peacefully, except for the girl sitting beside her cleaning cart at the end of the hallway. Maya pressed her phone against her ear, trying desperately to keep her voice down. "Mom, please don't sell Grandma's bracelet," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It's all we have left of her. Please, just give me more time." Her mother's exhausted voice crackled through the speaker. "Maya, the rent is due tomorrow morning. What choice do we have? I'll find the money somehow. I promise. Just don't give it up yet." What Maya didn't know was that someone stood in the shadows at the far end of the hallway. Ryan Cole, billionaire founder of Cole Enterprises, had stepped out of his suite to make a late-night call. But now, frozen in place, he listened to a young woman's world falling apart. When Maya finally ended the call, she wiped her tears, straightened her uniform, and returned to work, as if her heart hadn't just shattered into 1,000 pieces. Ryan watched her push that cart down the hallway with quiet determination, and something inside him shifted. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her story. But he knew one thing. She reminded him of someone he'd lost long ago. If you want to know what happens next, keep watching. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Morning arrived too quickly for Maya. Her eyes felt heavy, her body ached from hours of cleaning, and her spirit felt even more worn. But she had no choice. Her family depended on her. As she pushed her cart down the same hallway where she'd broken down the night before, she tried to focus on the tasks ahead. She reached for her cleaning supplies when a deep voice spoke behind her. "Excuse me." Maya spun around to find a tall man in an expensive gray suit standing a few feet away. She recognized him immediately, the guest from the penthouse suite. Her heart raced. Had she disturbed him last night? "Yes, sir. Is everything all right with your room?" she asked quickly, already mentally preparing an apology. Ryan studied her face carefully. Even through her exhaustion, he could see the determination in her eyes. "I'm not here to complain," he said gently. "I overheard you last night in the hallway." Maya's face flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry, sir. I shouldn't have been on a personal call during work hours. It won't happen again." "Stop," Ryan said softly, raising his hand. "You don't need to apologize." Maya blinked in confusion. "Guest never said that." Ryan pulled a sleek business card from his pocket and held it out to her. On the front was his name, Ryan Cole, CEO, Cole Enterprises. On the back was a handwritten address. "I want you to come to this address tonight at 7 o'clock. Maya stared at the card like it might disappear. I don't understand." "What?" "Because I'm offering you a job," Ryan replied calmly. "A better one." Maya's hands trembled as she took the card. "A job? But why me? You don't even know me." Ryan's expression softened. "Last night, I watched you cry. Pull yourself together and keep working. Most people would have given up. That kind of strength is rare, and I believe it deserves a chance." Maya looked down at the card, reading the address over and over. No one had ever noticed her before. Not her strength, not her sacrifices, nothing. She was invisible to most people. But this stranger, this wealthy businessman, had seen her. "What kind of job?" she asked quietly. "Come tonight and find out," Ryan said. "But I promise you, it's legitimate, and it could change your situation." Before Maya could respond, Ryan nodded politely and walked toward the elevator. Maya stood frozen in the hallway, clutching the card against her chest. Her mind raced with questions, doubts, and a tiny flicker of something she hadn't felt in years: hope. For the rest of her shift, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the card. She cleaned rooms mechanically, her thoughts elsewhere. What if this was real? What if she could actually help her family? But what if it was too good to be true? By the time her shift ended, Maya had made her decision. She would go, not because she was desperate, though she was, but because she owed it to herself to at least try. If nothing came of it, she'd be no worse off than she was now. She went home, changed in her nicest clothes, a simple white blouse and black pants, and caught the bus to the address on the card. As the city passed by her window, Maya whispered a quiet prayer. Please let this be real. When the bus stopped, Maya found herself in a neighborhood she'd only ever seen in magazines. The houses were massive, surrounded by tall gates and perfectly manicured gardens. She checked the address 3 times before approaching a beautiful iron gate covered in flowering vines. With a shaking hand, she pressed the call button. A warm female voice answered immediately. Good evening, Miss Maya. Please come in. Mr. Cole is expecting you. The gate swung open slowly, revealing a stone pathway lined with glowing lanterns. Maya took a deep breath and stepped through, her heart pounding with every step. Standing on the porch was a kind-looking woman in her 50s, wearing a comfortable sweater and a welcoming smile. You must be Maya. I'm Sarah, the house manager. Come inside, you're right on time. As Maya stepped through the front door, she entered a world completely different from her own. But what she didn't know yet was that this moment would change her life forever. The interior of Ryan Cole's home was nothing like Maya expected. She'd imagined cold marble, expensive art, and an atmosphere that screamed wealth and distance. Instead, she found warm lighting, comfortable furniture, and the faint scent of vanilla and coffee. Family photographs lined the walls, and soft music played somewhere in the background. Sarah led her to a cozy sitting room with 2 armchairs and a small table set with tea. Please sit down. Mr. Cole will join you in just a moment. Maya perched on the edge of a chair, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Every nerve in her body told her to run, but something deeper told her to stay. The door opened, and Ryan entered, not in his business suit this time, but in dark jeans and a simple navy sweater. He looked approachable, human, and far less intimidating than he had in the hotel hallway. Thank you for coming, he said, sitting across from her. I wasn't sure you would. I wasn't sure I should, Maya admitted quietly. Ryan poured tea for both of them and slid a cup toward her. Let me be direct, Maya. I'd like to offer you a position here, working as my household assistant. You'd help Sarah manage the house, organize documents, and handle various administrative tasks. Nothing too complicated, but important work that requires attention to detail. Maya wrapped her hands around the warm cup. But why me? You could hire anyone. Ryan leaned back slightly, choosing his words carefully. When I saw you last night, I didn't just see someone struggling. I saw someone who refused to give up. You were breaking apart, but you kept moving forward. That kind of resilience is something you can't teach, and it's exactly what I need. Maya looked down, overwhelmed. I'm not special. I'm just trying to survive. That's where you're wrong, Ryan said gently. Surviving despite everything. That's exactly what makes you special. A long silence settled between them. Finally, Maya spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. What happens when you don't need me anymore? Then you leave with experience, references, and the financial stability to figure out your next step, Ryan replied. This isn't charity, Maya. I'm offering you real work with real pay. Weekly salary, room, and board if you need it, and the chance to support your family without working yourself into the ground. Maya's breath caught. Room and board? That would mean saving almost everything she earned. She could help her mother, keep her sister in school, maybe even put something away for emergencies. I still have my job at the hotel, she said hesitantly. I've already spoken with your manager, Ryan said. If you accept this position, they'll release you from your contract. No penalties. Maya's eyes widened. You arranged all that before I even said yes. I don't do things halfway, Ryan replied with a slight smile. Maya stared at the tea in her hands, watching the steam curl upward. This was the opportunity she'd been praying for, the chance to change everything. But doubt gnawed at her. What if she failed? What if she wasn't good enough? I'm afraid I'll disappoint you, she whispered. Ryan leaned forward, his expression serious but kind. Maya, listen to me. Stop apologizing for surviving. Stop thinking you need to be perfect before you deserve chance. You've already proven your strength. Now let yourself have this opportunity. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes, but this time they weren't tears of despair. They were tears of relief, of hope, of finally being seen by someone who didn't look away. When would I start? She asked, her voice shaking. Whenever you're ready, Ryan said. but Sarah can show you to your room tonight if you'd like to stay. That way, you can start fresh in the morning. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, yes, I'll do it. Ryan extended his hand across the table. Welcome aboard, Maya. She shook his hand firmly, and for the first time in years, she felt like maybe, just maybe, things were finally going to be okay. Sarah appeared in the doorway with a warm smile. Come with me, dear. Let me show you your room. As Maya followed Sarah down a peaceful hallway, she glanced back at Ryan one more time. He stood by the window, looking out at the garden, and she wondered what kind of man offered a stranger such kindness without expecting anything in return. Whatever his reasons, Maya knew one thing for certain. Her life had just changed forever. Sarah led Maya down a long, quiet hallway lined with soft lighting and family photographs. The house felt lived in and loved, not cold or impersonal like Maya had expected a billionaire's home to be. Here we are, Sarah said, opening a door near the end of the hall. This will be your space. Maya stepped inside and immediately felt her throat tighten with emotion. The room was simple but beautiful. A comfortable bed with a cream-colored comforter, a wooden desk positioned by the window, a soft rug beneath her feet, and a small vase holding a single white flower on the dresser. The window overlooked a garden filled with lavender bushes and tall palm trees. Even in the evening darkness, she could see the peaceful beauty of it all. This is too much, Maya whispered, running her hand gently along the edge of the desk. Sarah shook her head firmly. It's exactly what you deserve. You've worked your whole life, Maya. Now it's time to let the world give you a little space to breathe. On the dresser sat a handwritten note, fresh linens in the closet. If you need anything, my room is 2 doors down. Don't hesitate to knock. Sarah, Maya picked up the note, her hands trembling. Why are you both being so kind to me? Sarah stepped closer and placed a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. Because kindness isn't something you have to earn, dear. It's something you deserve simply by being human. And you, Maya, have been carrying the world on your shoulders for far too long. A single tear rolled down Maya's cheek. I'm afraid I don't belong here. This house isn't for perfect people, Sarah said softly. It's for people who are trying their best. And for what Mr. Cole told me about you, that's exactly who you are. After Sarah left, Maya sat on the edge of the bed, testing its softness. She'd never had a room this quiet before. Her family's apartment was always filled with noise. The neighbors arguing, her sister's music, the constant hum of the old refrigerator. But here, the only sound was the gentle rustle of leaves outside her window. She unpacked her small bag, which contained everything she owned, a change of clothes, a hairbrush, a photograph of her grandmother, and a worn notebook where she'd sketched clothing designs during breaks at the hotel. Maya placed the photograph on a nightstand and whispered, I hope I'm making the right choice, Grandma. She changed into the comfortable pajamas Sarah had left for her and climbed into bed. The mattress felt like a cloud compared to the thin, lumpy one she shared with her sister at home. As she lay there, staring at the ceiling, Maya thought about everything that had happened in just one day. This morning, she'd been invisible, just another maid pushing a cart through hotel hallways. Tonight, she had her own room in a beautiful house, working for a man who saw her when no one else did. But the fear still lingered. What if she messed up? What if Ryan realized he'd made a mistake? What if this was all temporary and she ended up right back where she started? Maya closed her eyes and took a deep breath. One day at a time, she told herself. Just focus on tomorrow. For the first time in months, Maya slept through the entire night without waking up once. When morning came, she woke before sunrise. Old habits die hard. But instead of feeling exhausted and anxious, she felt something unexpected, peace. She got dressed carefully, choosing her nicest clothes, and made her way toward the kitchen. The smell of fresh coffee guided her there, where she found Sarah already preparing breakfast. Good morning, Maya, Sarah said warmly. How did you sleep? Better than I have in years, Maya admitted with a shy smile. Sarah handed her a small checklist. Nothing overwhelming today. Just some light organization, watering the indoor plants, and maybe helping me sort through some old files this afternoon. We'll take it slow. Maya scanned the list, relieved to see that everything was manageable. Thank you for being patient with me. Patience comes naturally when you're working with good people, Sarah replied. And you, Maya, are good people. As they worked together that morning, Maya began to feel the weight she'd carried for so long slowly lifting from her shoulders. She wasn't invisible here. She wasn't just surviving. She was beginning to live. And for the first time in her life, Maya allowed herself to believe that maybe she deserved this chance after all. The first week passed quickly. Maya settled into a comfortable routine, helping Sarah in the mornings, organizing documents in the afternoon, and tending to the garden in the evenings. Every task felt purposeful, and for the first time in her life, Maya didn't feel like she was drowning. But there was one place in the house that remained a mystery, a white door at the end of the upstairs hallway, always locked, always silent. Maya noticed Ryan standing in front of that door one rainy afternoon. He wasn't trying to open it, just staring at it with an expression she couldn't quite read. Heavy, distant, lost. She hesitated, not wanting to intrude on what seemed like a private moment. But something about his posture made her pause. Ryan must have sensed her presence because he turned slightly. You're allowed to ask, he said quietly. Maya shook her head. I don't want to pry. Naomi, he said gently, then caught himself. I'm sorry, Maya. You don't have to be afraid of every question. Maya nodded toward the locked door. What's in that room? Ryan exhaled slowly, his hand resting on the doorframe. It was my fiancée's art studio. She painted every morning. Said the world made more sense when she could create something beautiful. Maya's heart ached for him. I'm so sorry. She died 3 years ago, Ryan continued, his voice steady but distant. Car accident. I kept the room locked because opening it means accepting that she's really gone. Maya took a small step closer, not too close, just enough to show she was listening. I understand, she said softly. Some rooms hold memories. Some hold pain. Sometimes they hold both. Ryan looked at her, surprised by how simply and accurately she understood. I haven't opened it since the funeral. You don't have to, Maya said gently. Not until you're ready. But if you ever want someone to sit with you when you do open it, or just help you keep it clean, I'm here. Ryan's jaw tightened, and he blinked slowly. That means more than you know. For a moment, they stood together in the quiet hallway, rain pattering softly against the windows. Maya didn't try to fill the silence with empty words or meaningless comfort. She simply stood there, present and steady. Her name was Catherine, Ryan said suddenly. She loved bright colors, terrible romantic comedies, and jazz music at 3 in the morning. Maya smiled softly. She sounded wonderful. She was, Ryan replied. She made me laugh more than anyone I've ever known. After she died, I threw myself into work, built the company bigger, made more money, closed more deals. But none of it filled the space she left behind. Maya understood that feeling all too well. Grief doesn't have a timeline, she said quietly. My grandmother raised me after my father left. When she died, everyone told me to move on, to be strong, to keep going. But nobody told me it was okay to still miss her years later. Ryan turned to face her fully. How did you keep going? I didn't have a choice, Maya admitted. My family needed me. But I also learned that keeping going doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying them with you while you move forward. Ryan studied her face, seeing a depth of understanding that came only from lived experience. You're wise beyond your years, Maya. She shook her head with a slight smile. I'm not wise. I'm just someone who's learned to survive loss. They stood there a moment longer before Ryan finally stepped away from the locked door. Thank you, he said softly. For what? For not pitying me, he replied. For just understanding. As Ryan walked down the hallway, Maya remained behind, looking at that white door. She understood its weight, its significance, its pain, and she silently hoped that one day, Ryan would find the strength to turn that doorknob and let the light back in. Later that evening, as Maya helped Sarah prepare dinner, the older woman glanced at her thoughtfully. You have a gift, you know. What do you mean? Maya asked. You know how to be present with people, Sarah explained. How to listen without trying to fix everything. That's rare, especially in this world. Maya thought about the locked door upstairs and the broken man who couldn't yet open it. Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe the greatest gift you could give someone wasn't solving their problems, It was simply standing beside them while they figured out how to solve them themselves. By the end of Maya's second week at Ryan's home, she had settled into a rhythm that felt almost natural. But there was one thing she missed deeply: sewing. Back in her old neighborhood, Maya used to mend clothes for neighbors to earn extra money. It was more than just income. It was the only thing that made her feel calm when life felt overwhelming. The steady rhythm of the needle, the transformation of torn fabric into something whole again, it helped her breathe. One morning, a package arrived at the side entrance. Sarah brought it inside with a curious expression. "Maya, dear, this is your name on it." Maya frowned. She wasn't expecting anything. She carefully opened the box and gasped. Inside were rolls of beautiful fabric in various colors, a new pair of sharp scissors, quality thread in every shade imaginable, and a complete sewing kit. Her hands trembled as she touched the soft material. "Sarah, I didn't order this." Sarah smiled knowingly. "I suspect you didn't have to." Maya looked down the hallway where Ryan had just appeared, shaking rain from his coat. Their eyes met. "You mentioned that sewing helped you relax," Ryan said simply. "I thought you might want to continue." Maya clutched the fabric to her chest. "This is too much. I can't accept." "Maya," Ryan interrupted gently. "This isn't charity. It's belief. I believe you have a gift, and gifts should never be wasted." Those words hit her harder than any expensive gift ever could. Nobody had ever believed in her talents before. Later that afternoon, while organizing papers in Ryan's study, an idea sparked in Maya's mind. She found Sarah in the kitchen. "What if we started a small sewing workshop here?" she asked excitedly. "In that unused room in the East Wing, we could teach people who need skills, confidence, or just a safe place to belong." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Maya, that's a beautiful idea. Let me talk to Mr. Cole." Within days, Maya had transformed the empty ballroom into a simple but welcoming workspace. Folding tables, borrowed sewing machines from a local charity, scattered fabric pieces, and handmade welcome signs. It wasn't fancy, but it was filled with possibility. On the first day, only 2 women showed up, a young mother named Lisa and an older woman named Grace who'd recently lost her job. Maya taught them basic stitching techniques, her nervousness gradually fading as she realized how much she loved sharing her knowledge. "You're a natural teacher," Lisa said, watching Maya demonstrate how to thread a needle properly. By the second week, 8 more people came. Some came to learn practical skills. Others came because they were lonely. A few came because, like Maya, they needed to feel useful again. The room that had been silent for years now buzzed with conversation, laughter, and the gentle hum of sewing machines. Women shared their stories as they worked, stories of loss, struggle, hope, and resilience. One Saturday afternoon, Ryan stood quietly in the doorway, watching Maya guide a nervous teenager through her first project. Maya was smiling, not the careful, guarded smile she'd worn at the hotel, but a genuine one that lit up her entire face. "She's changed this house," Sarah said, appearing beside him. "She's changed more than the house," Ryan replied softly. As the weeks passed, the workshop grew. Local newspapers heard about it and sent reporters. Community leaders visited. Donations of fabric and supplies poured in. Maya's small idea had blossomed into something that touched dozens of lives. One evening, after everyone had left, Maya sat alone in the workshop, folding fabric and tidying up. Ryan knocked gently on the doorframe. "You've built something special here," he said. Maya looked around the room with pride. "I never imagined it would grow like this. I just wanted to help a few people." "That's usually how the best things start," Ryan observed. "With one person who cares enough to try." Maya met his eyes. "Thank you for giving me the space to do this. Not everyone would have said yes." "Thank you for reminding me what this house was missing," Ryan replied. "It wasn't just empty rooms that needed filling. It was purpose. You brought that back." A comfortable silence settled between them, the kind that happens when 2 people begin to understand each other beyond words. Ryan had opened his home to Maya out of compassion, but what neither of them realized yet was that she was slowly opening something much more guarded: his heart. The sewing workshop continued to flourish. Word spread throughout the community about the safe space Maya had created, and soon local organizations began taking notice. One afternoon, a formal letter arrived addressed to Maya Carter. She opened it slowly, her hands shaking. Inside was an elegant invitation printed on thick cream paper. You have been nominated for the Community Empowerment Award for your outstanding work in skill building and supporting women in need. Maya stared at the words in disbelief. Me? She whispered. There must be some mistake. Sarah read over her shoulder and squeezed her hand. There's no mistake, dear. You earned this. When Ryan saw the invitation that evening, his face broke into a proud smile. You absolutely deserve this recognition. Maya shook her head. But events like this, that's not my world. I don't belong at fancy ceremonies with important people. Ryan set down his coffee and looked at her seriously. It wasn't my world either once. Not until I stopped waiting for permission to walk into it. Those words stayed with Maya as she prepared for the ceremony. Sarah helped her find a simple navy dress, one that Maya had actually sewn herself during late-night hours of the workshop. When she looked in the mirror the night of the event, she barely recognized herself. She looked confident, capable like someone who belonged. The ceremony was held at the Grand River Community Hall overlooking the water. As Maya entered, her stomach twisted with nerves. The room was filled with city officials, business leaders, and other nominees, all people who seemed so much more accomplished than her. Ryan arrived separately, but immediately scanned the crowd until he found her. Their eyes met across the room. He didn't wave or call out. He simply smiled, a private, reassuring smile meant only for her. The ceremony began with speeches, music, and applause. Maya sat near the front, trying to calm her racing heart. Then came the segment showcasing the nominees' work. Photos flashed across the large screen. The workshop, the women learning to sew, Maya teaching with that genuine smile. Maya began to relax. Maybe she did belong here after all. Maybe her work really did matter. Then everything changed. A photo appeared on the screen that made Maya's blood run cold. It was her, standing outside a police station 2 years ago, looking frightened and ashamed. Beneath it, text appeared, accused of theft, charges later dropped. The room fell silent. Whispers rippled through the audience. Maya couldn't breathe. Her past, the one thing she'd been running from, had just been exposed in front of hundreds of people. She wanted to run, to disappear, to become invisible again. But before she could move, someone stood up. Ryan. He walked calmly toward the stage, his presence commanding immediate attention. The host stood frozen, unsure what was happening. Ryan took the microphone, his voice steady and clear. Before anyone judges this woman based on an old photograph, he said, you should hear the truth. The room went completely silent. Every eye was on him. That picture shows a young woman who is accused of a crime she didn't commit, Ryan continued, looking directly at the screen. But it doesn't show who she really is. He turned to face the audience. It doesn't show the girl who worked 3 jobs to support her family. The girl who stood up for her sick mother when everyone else walked away. The girl who never stopped believing in goodness, even when the world was cruel to her. Maya sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. It doesn't show the woman who created a workshop where forgotten people could find purpose again, Ryan said. Where women who felt invisible could finally be seen. Where hope was sewn back into lives that had been torn apart. His voice grew stronger. And if anyone in this room believes that an accusation defines a person's worth, then you haven't met Maya Carter. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then, slowly, applause began at the back of the hall. Soft at first, then building like a wave, spreading throughout the entire room. People rose to their feet, clapping not just politely, but genuinely. Ryan walked down from the stage and extended his hand to Maya. She hesitated only a moment before taking it. Together, they walked out of the hall while the applause continued behind them. Outside, under the stars, Maya finally found her voice. Why'd you do that? Ryan looked at her with absolute certainty. Because you deserve someone to stand up for you the way you've stood up for everyone else. Outside the community hall, the cool night air washed over Maya's tear-stained face. She took several deep breaths, trying to process what had just happened. Ryan stood beside her, quiet but present, giving her space to feel everything she needed to feel. "You didn't have to do that," Maya finally whispered. Ryan turned to her, his expression soft but firm. "Yes, Maya, I did." She looked down at her hands, still trembling. "All those people heard about my past. They'll always remember me as the girl who was accused. They'll remember you as the woman who overcame false accusations and built something beautiful anyway," Ryan corrected gently. "There's a difference." Maya shook her head. "I'm so tired of proving I'm not what people think I am." Ryan stepped slightly closer. "Then stop proving yourself to people who've already made up their minds. Save your energy for those who truly see you." "And what about you?" Maya asked, her voice barely audible. "Why do you keep choosing to stand beside me?" Ryan didn't hesitate. "Because I wanted you to know that you don't have to fight alone anymore." Those words broke something open inside Maya, something she'd kept locked away for years. She'd carried her family's burdens alone, fought her battles alone, survived her shame alone. Having someone voluntarily choose to stand with her felt almost impossible to accept. "I didn't expect any of this when I took that card from you at the hotel," she admitted. "Neither did I," Ryan said honestly. "But I'm not stepping back now." They stood together under the stars for a long moment, the sounds of the city humming softly around them. Something unspoken passed between them, an understanding that whatever was growing between them was more than just employer and employee, more than just kindness extended and received. The following weeks brought a new ease to their relationship. Ryan started spending more time at the house instead of his downtown office. He'd work from his study, but often took breaks to visit the sewing workshop, where he'd watch Maya teach with quiet admiration. One evening, Maya found Ryan sitting in the garden, a glass of wine in his hand, staring at the sunset. She hesitated before approaching. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Ryan smiled and gestured to the chair beside him. "Everything's fine. Just thinking." Maya sat down, tucking her legs beneath her. "About what?" "About how much this house has changed," Ryan said. "A few months ago, it was just a place I slept. Now it feels like a home again." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. "The workshop has changed me too. I didn't realize how much I needed purpose until I had it." Ryan looked at her thoughtfully. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Have you always been the one carrying your family?" he asked gently. The question pierced straight through Maya's defenses. "Yes," she admitted. "Since I was 14. After my dad left and my grandmother got sick, I became the responsible one." "And who carried you?" Ryan asked. Maya's throat tightened. "No one. I learned to carry myself." Ryan's expression filled with something Maya couldn't quite name. Respect, sadness, understanding. That must have been incredibly lonely. Tears pricked Maya's eyes. "It was, but I didn't have a choice." "You always have a choice, Maya," Ryan said softly. "And choosing to survive doesn't make you weak. It makes you extraordinary." Maya wiped her eyes quickly. "I don't feel extraordinary. I feel like I've been barely holding on for years." "That's exactly what makes you extraordinary," Ryan replied. "You held on when most people would have let go." They sat together as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Maya realized that for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she had to perform or prove herself. She could just exist, and that was enough. "Ryan," she said quietly. "Yes. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible." Ryan reached over and gently squeezed her hand. "Thank you for letting me." As the stars began to appear overhead, neither of them moved. They sat together in comfortable silence, both beginning to understand that what was developing between them was something rare and precious, something worth protecting. Maya had come to this house looking for a job, but she'd found something far more valuable, a place where she belonged, work that mattered, and someone who saw her not as a charity case or a project, but as an equal, as someone worth standing beside. 3 months had passed since Maya first arrived at Ryan's home. The sewing workshop was thriving. Maya had gained confidence she never knew she possessed, and her relationship with Ryan had evolved into something neither of them could quite define, but both felt deeply. One crisp autumn morning, Maya walked into the kitchen and froze. Sitting at the breakfast table was a woman she recognized from the framed photographs throughout the house. Ryan's mother, Elizabeth Cole. She was elegant in a tailored coat, her silver hair styled perfectly, her posture radiating the kind of grace that came from a lifetime of high society. Her expression was calm, but unreadable as she studied Maya. Sarah appeared beside Maya, offering an encouraging smile. "Maya, dear, this is Mrs. Cole. Mrs. Cole, this is Maya Carter." "It's an honor to meet you, ma'am," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. Elizabeth's sharp eyes assessed her carefully. "I've heard quite a bit about you, Miss Carter." Ryan entered moments later, his expression shifting slightly when he saw his mother. "Mom, I didn't know you were coming today. I wanted to meet the young woman who's transformed my son's home," Elizabeth replied smoothly. They shared breakfast together, a meal filled with polite conversation and careful words. Elizabeth asked about the workshop, Maya's background, and her plans for the future. Each question felt like a test, and Maya answered as honestly as she could. After breakfast, Elizabeth stood. "Miss Carter, would you walk with me in the garden?" Maya's heart raced, but she nodded. Of course. They walked in silence at first, the morning sun filtering through the trees. The garden smelled of late-blooming roses and fresh earth. Finally, Elizabeth spoke. "I lost my husband to cancer 10 years ago," she said quietly. "I watched my son break when his father died. Then I watched him break again when he lost Catherine." Maya listened, understanding that this wasn't small talk. This was the real conversation. Elizabeth stopped walking and turned to face Maya directly. "I'm not here to question your character or your intentions, but I need to ask you something important for my son's sake." Maya nodded, preparing herself. "Are you here because Ryan is the only person who didn't look away from you?" Elizabeth asked, her voice gentle but probing. "Or are you here because you genuinely care for him?" The question was fair, and Maya respected Elizabeth for asking it directly. She took a moment to gather her thoughts before answering. "When I first came here, I was drowning," Maya said honestly. "Ryan threw me a lifeline, and yes, I was grateful. But what kept me here wasn't gratitude, it was respect. It was discovering that he never once made me feel small or less than. He never treated me like a charity case or a problem to fix." Maya's voice grew stronger. "I didn't come here looking for love, Mrs. Cole. I came looking for survival. But what I found was someone who saw me as an equal, someone who believed I had something valuable to offer the world. I care for your son not because he rescued me, but because he showed me I was worth rescuing myself." Elizabeth studied her for a long moment, her expression softening almost imperceptibly. "I believe you." Relief washed over Maya, but Elizabeth wasn't finished. "Ryan hasn't let anyone close since Catherine died," she continued. "He built walls around his heart that I thought were permanent. But somehow, you found a way through them." "I never meant to," Maya started. "Don't apologize," Elizabeth interrupted gently. "It's the best thing that could have happened to him. I just needed to know that you understand how fragile that heart is." "I do," Maya said softly. "Because mine is too." Elizabeth's expression finally warmed into something close to approval. "Then I hope you'll both be careful with each other." They walked back to the house together, the tension between them dissolved. Inside, Elizabeth spent the rest of the morning at the workshop, talking with the women, examining their work, even trying her hand at a simple stitch. Before leaving, she pulled Maya aside one last time. "I hope you stay, Miss Carter. Not because my son needs someone, but because he's finally allowed someone in." After Elizabeth left, Ryan found Maya in the garden. "So, how did it go?" Maya smiled, genuine and relieved. "Your mother is formidable." "That's one word for her," Ryan said with a slight grin. "But she loves you very much," Maya added. "And I think she gave us her blessing." Ryan's expression softened with relief. "That means everything to me." "You mean everything to me." Months passed, and the sewing workshop continued to grow beyond anyone's expectations. What had started as a small project in Ryan's East Wing had touched the lives of over 50 women. But the space was becoming too small for the demand. One evening, Maya sat at the kitchen table with stacks of papers, applications from women wanting to join the workshop. She looked overwhelmed, but determined. Ryan sat down across from her. "What if we expanded?" Maya looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "There's an old community center on Maple Street that's been empty For 2 years, Ryan explained. The city's been looking for someone to repurpose it. What if we turn it into a permanent space for your program? Maya's eyes widened. Ryan, that would cost a fortune. So we fundraise, he said simply. Between my connections, your community support, and the publicity you've already generated, I think we could make it happen. Over the next several months, Maya and Ryan worked tirelessly to transform the dream into reality. They met with city officials, organized fundraising events, and gathered donations from local businesses. The community rallied behind the project, contributing money, supplies, and volunteer labor. Maya named it Haven House, a place for new beginnings. The grand opening was scheduled for a Saturday in late spring. The entire community was invited. Local officials, workshop participants, donors, and supporters gathered to celebrate. Maya stood at the front of the newly renovated building, looking at everything they'd accomplished. The space had 6 sewing stations, a small classroom area, a comfortable lounge where women could talk over coffee, and even a tiny boutique where they could sell their creations. When it was time for speeches, the mayor spoke first, followed by several community leaders. Then it was Maya's turn. She stepped up to the microphone, her hands shaking slightly. She prepared a speech, but as she looked out at all the faces, women whose lives had been changed, Ryan standing in the back with that proud smile, Sarah wiping tears from her eyes, the prepared words disappeared. I was invisible for most of my life, Maya began, her voice trembling but growing stronger with each word. I worked hard, but nobody saw me. I survived, but nobody noticed. I dreamed, but nobody believed those dreams mattered. She paused, looking directly at Ryan. Then someone decided to look past what I didn't have and see what I did. He saw strength where I only saw survival. He saw potential where I only saw poverty. He saw purpose where I only saw pain. Tears streamed down her face, but she kept speaking. Haven House isn't just about teaching people to sew. It's about teaching people that they matter, that their stories matter, that their dreams deserve to be taken seriously. The audience erupted in applause. Maya stepped down from the stage, and Ryan was there waiting for her. She walked straight into his arms, and he held her tight. I'm so proud of you, he whispered into her hair. We did this together, she replied. As the celebration continued inside, Ryan took Maya's hand and led her outside to the small garden behind Haven House. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant shades of gold and pink. Maya, Ryan said, his voice suddenly nervous. She turned to face him, and her breath caught when she saw him reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box and opened it carefully. Inside was a simple but beautiful ring, a single diamond on a delicate silver band, exactly the kind Maya would have chosen for herself. Maya Carter, Ryan said, his voice thick with emotion, you came into my life when I convinced myself I didn't deserve happiness anymore. You show me that hope isn't something you find, it's something you build with your own hands. Tears filled Maya's eyes as he continued. You don't owe me anything, Ryan said. Not gratitude, not love, not anything. But if you'll let me, I want to build a future with you, one we shape together as equals. Will you marry me? Maya didn't hesitate. She didn't doubt. She didn't look around for permission or wonder if she deserved this. She simply stepped forward, her voice clear and certain. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Ryan slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a kiss as applause erupted from the doorway, where Sarah, Elizabeth, and several workshop participants had been watching. Maya had started as a hotel maid crying in a hallway. She was ending this chapter as a woman who'd built her own future. One final chapter remains. What happens next for Maya and Ryan? Keep watching. Subscribe to Folk Tales by Olivia for the conclusion. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of a mirror in a small room at the community church, adjusting the simple white dress she'd sewn herself. It wasn't extravagant or covered in expensive lace. It was elegant, personal, and entirely her. Sarah stood behind her, fastening the last button with trembling fingers. You look absolutely beautiful, dear. Maya smiled at her reflection. I never imagined I'd have this day. You deserve every bit of it, Sarah replied, her eyes glistening with tears. There was a soft knock at the door, and Elizabeth Cole entered, holding a small velvet box. "May I come in?" "Of course," Maya said warmly. Elizabeth approached and opened the box, revealing a delicate pearl bracelet. "This belonged to my mother, who gave it to me on my wedding day. I'd like you to have it." Maya's breath caught. "Mrs. Cole, I couldn't." "You can, and you will," Elizabeth said firmly, but with warmth. "You brought my son back to life, Maya. You've reminded him that love doesn't always end in loss. That's a gift beyond measure." She fastened the bracelet around Maya's wrist and squeezed her hand gently. "Welcome to our family." Maya hugged her tightly, overwhelmed with gratitude. Outside the church, Ryan stood at the altar with his best man, adjusting his tie nervously. The church wasn't large or ornate. It was the same community church where Haven House held its monthly gatherings. The pews were filled with workshop participants, neighbors from Maya's old building, community leaders, and the few family members Ryan and Maya had. When the music began, Ryan's heart raced. Then the doors opened, and Maya appeared. She walked down the aisle alone, not because she had no one to give her away, but because she'd chosen to walk herself. She'd saved herself, built herself up, and walked into this new life on her own terms. Ryan's eyes filled with tears as she approached. When she reached him, he took both her hands in his. The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. They'd written their own vows. Ryan spoke first, his voice steady but emotional. "Maya, you taught me that strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up every single time. You showed me that hope isn't naive, it's brave. I promise to stand beside you, not above you. To support your dreams, not overshadow them. To love you not for what you've survived, but for who you've become." Maya took a shaky breath before speaking. "Ryan, you saw me when I fell invisible. You believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. You gave me not a rescue, but a partnership. I promise to build our life together with honesty, with courage, and with the same strength you recognized in me from the very beginning. I promise to remind you every day that you deserve this happiness." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the small church erupted in applause and cheers. The reception was held in Haven House's garden. String lights hung between the trees, simple food was served on wooden tables, and joy filled every corner. Women from the workshop performed a song they'd written for Maya. Sarah gave a tearful speech. Even Elizabeth raised a glass with genuine warmth. As the evening settled into comfortable celebration, Ryan and Maya found a quiet moment alone beneath the stars. "Can you believe this is real?" Maya asked, leaning against him. "Sometimes I still can't," Ryan admitted. "But then I look at you, at Haven House, at everything we've built together, and I know it is." Maya thought back to that night in the hotel hallway, broken, desperate, crying beside her cleaning cart. If someone had told her then that she'd end up here, she never would have believed them. "Do you ever think about that night?" Ryan asked, as if reading her mind. "All the time," Maya said, "but not with sadness anymore. I think about how far I've come." Ryan kissed the top of her head. "How far we've come." Haven House continued to thrive. Maya and Ryan expanded the program, adding job training and financial literacy workshops. Hundreds of women found purpose, confidence, and community within those walls. Maya never forgot where she came from. She returned to her old neighborhood regularly, helping others who were struggling the way she once did. She became a voice for the invisible, a champion for the overlooked. And every night, as she fell asleep beside Ryan in the home they'd built together, Maya remembered the most important lesson she'd learned. You don't need someone to save you. You need someone who believes you can save yourself, and who chooses to walk beside you while you do. The end. Thank you for watching Maya's incredible journey from invisible hotel maid to confident changemaker. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Folktales by Olivia, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from, and what was your favorite moment in Maya's story? Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our inspiring tales. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, your story matters. See you in the next video.